My own mother looked me in the eyes, her voice sharp as a knife, and said, "Your job is shameful." And just like that, the room went silent. My sister grabbed my wrist and hissed, "You don't deserve to be here." She dragged me toward the door, and when it slammed shut behind me, I realized something. This wasn't a family meeting. This was an ambush. The sting of her words hit harder than I expected. Shameful? After everything I had built on my own? My chest felt tight, my throat dry, but I refused to let them see me break. I forced myself to walk slowly down the porch steps, even as the night air felt like a weight pressing against my lungs. Behind the door, muffled voices continued, plotting, deciding my place in their world. A place they thought I no longer belonged. But this wasn't the first time they had tried to silence me. 5 years earlier, the pattern had already begun. Ultimatums, guilt trips, and demands that I fix problems I didn't create. Tonight, however, something was different. This time, I wasn't the powerless girl they thought they could control. This time, I had proof of the lies they wanted buried. I didn't know it yet, but that bruise I glimpsed on my nephew's tiny arm would change everything. Their secret was unraveling, and whether they liked it or not, the truth was about to explode in their faces. And here's where you, watching this, come in. If you've ever been underestimated or silenced by people who should have had your back, tell me your story in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like this video, because the justice in this story is just getting started. As I drove away that night, the echo of my mother's voice still burned in my ears. What I didn't know was that within 24 hours, my sister would show up at my motel door, with bruises that told me everything my family had been hiding. The motel door rattled with a knock that shook me out of my thoughts. My heart jumped. It was past midnight. I pressed my eye to the peephole and froze. It was my sister, Marissa. Her hair was tangled, eyes swollen from crying, and in her arms she clutched her little boy. She looked like someone who had run through a storm with no umbrella, her whole body trembling. I yanked the door open, and she stumbled inside before I could say a word. The child stirred against her chest, whimpering, and when she shifted him, the sleeve of his tiny shirt slipped down. That's when I saw it. A handprint. Red, raw, pressed into his delicate skin. My stomach lurched. "Marissa, who did this?" My voice was barely a whisper, but she flinched as if I had shouted. Her lips trembled. And finally, through tears, she said the words I had feared since that dinner. "It was Dwight. He lost control again. He's been hitting us both." It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. For years, my family had told me to keep quiet, to protect the image, to never speak of the cracks behind our perfect church family facade. And now, those secrets were carved into bruises on my nephew's arm. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and hit speed dial. Tessa, my friend, the lawyer, the one person I trusted to guide us through this storm. She answered on the first ring, her voice sharp and steady. "Tell me everything," she said. We laid it all out, the bruises, the debts, the threats, the way Mom covered for Dwight, insisting family handles family. Tessa's tone turned icy. "This isn't family, this is abuse. Kenya, you need evidence, photos, dates, everything. We're going to build a case they can't bury." Marissa sobbed but nodded. Together we started documenting everything. Each bruise, each scar, every whispered confession. My hands trembled as I pressed the shutter on my phone, capturing the proof that could no longer be ignored. I looked at my sister, cradling her child with shaking arms, and I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about survival. But little did I know gathering evidence was only the first battle. Because by sunrise, my mother would find out Marissa had come to me, and she was about to declare war. The sun hadn't even broken the horizon when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Kenya." It was my mother's voice, sharp, clipped, and colder than the motel air around me. "I know Marissa's with you. Bring her home. Now." I froze, glancing at my sister, still asleep in the corner chair, her son curled against her chest. "She's not safe there," I whispered. Mom's tone cracked like a whip. "Safe? Do you think dragging her into your shameful life is safety? You've always tried to destroy this family. Don't you dare start now." The line went dead. My stomach twisted. She knew. She always knew. She had eyes in that town, gossip trailing like smoke. And if she already knew Marissa was gone, it meant Dwight knew too. And he wouldn't let this betrayal slide. By the time Marissa woke, her phone was flooded with messages. "Come back. You're embarrassing us. Dwight is furious. Fix this. Don't ruin your son's life because of your stubborn sister." Her hand shook as she scrolled, tears streaming. I took the phone and shoved it aside. "They're trying to break you down, just like they did to me," I said, my voice firm. Marissa whispered, "But what if they're right? What if I'm tearing everything apart?" That was their poison, dripping into her veins. "You're nothing without us. You're nothing without him." I knelt in front of her, forcing her to meet my eyes. "You're not tearing anything apart. They are. And if you don't stand now, it won't just be you who pays the price. It'll be him too." I pointed at her son, sleeping restlessly, his tiny fingers curled around her sleeve. She broke then, sobbing into my shoulder, whispering, "I don't know if I can do this." But I knew. And I also knew Mom wasn't finished. Later that afternoon, as we drove to meet Tessa at her office, a car swerved hard in front of us, cutting us off. Tires screeched, the smell of burnt rubber filling the air. Dwight. He stepped out, fists clenched, his face red with fury. And behind him, my mother. They hadn't come to beg. They had come to drag Marissa back by force. And what happened in that parking lot would change everything. The slam of Dwight's car door echoed like a gunshot. He stalked toward us, jaw clenched, fists pumping at his sides. Every step seemed to vibrate the asphalt. My chest tightened, but I forced my hand to stay steady on the steering wheel. "Get out of the car!" he roared, spittle flying in the afternoon light. His shirt clung with sweat, his eyes bloodshot with rage. Marissa froze in the passenger seat, her son clutching her arm, whimpering. I locked the doors. My fingers trembled, but my voice cut sharp. "Stay inside. Don't move." Then came another door slam. My mother. She stepped out slowly, deliberate as a judge walking into a courtroom. Her pearls glistened under the sun, her smile thin and poisonous. "Kenya," she drawled, her voice honey hiding venom. "You've gone too far this time. Hand over your sister. This has nothing to do with you." Nothing to do with me? My nails dug into the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. She's my sister. And I saw the bruises. On her. On the boy. For the first time, Dwight's face flickered. A twitch, like I'd hit a nerve. But my mother? She didn't even flinch. She tilted her head and sneered. "Lies. You've always had a taste for drama. You'll poison anyone to make yourself look righteous. Now open the door." Marissa whimpered. "Mom, please don't." But my mother cut her off. "Dwight provides for you. He is a husband, a father, a man of this family. You owe him obedience." Her words stabbed deeper than Dwight's fists ever could. I turned the ignition, ready to speed off, but Dwight slammed both palms on the hood, making the car shake violently. "You're not leaving," he shouted. His face was inches from the windshield, twisted with pure fury. Inside, the boy started crying, loud, hiccuping sobs that pierced the thick tension. Marissa clutched him tight, shaking uncontrollably. In that moment, a cold certainty washed over me. They weren't here to talk. They were here to take her back, no matter what it cost. I hit the gas, the tires squealed, the car lurched forward, and Dwight had to jump aside or be crushed. My mother screamed something I couldn't hear over the roar of the engine. But when I glanced in the rearview mirror, my blood ran cold. They were already back in their car, and they were following us. The rearview mirror shook with every bump in the road, but one thing stayed clear. Their headlights. Bright, unrelenting, glued to my bumper. My pulse hammered in my ears louder than the tires on the cracked asphalt. Marissa's sobs filled the car. She rocked her son, whispering broken promises. "It's okay, baby, Mommy's here." But her trembling voice betrayed the lie. "Seatbelt on him tight," I said, my knuckles white around the wheel. "Don't let go." Dwight's car surged closer, horn blaring, his rage vibrating through the air. He swerved left, then right, trying to box us in. I floored the gas, the engine groaning as the speedometer climbed. The boy's cry turned into a scream. The sound sliced through me, fueling the fire in my chest. I wasn't just driving. I was fighting for all of us. We hit a stretch of highway, empty, endless, and that's when Dwight made his move. His car lunged forward, clipping the side of mine. The whole vehicle jolted, metal screeching against metal. Marissa shrieked, clutching her son tighter. "Stop the car!" Mom's voice carried from their rolled-down window, sharp as broken glass. "You'll destroy this family." Destroy this family? My laugh came out bitter, ragged. This wasn't family. This was control, manipulation, violence disguised as loyalty. And I was done playing their game. I swerved hard, forcing space between us. The tires screamed, smoke curling up from the asphalt. Dwight fell back for a moment, headlights bouncing in my mirror. My chest heaved, adrenaline surging. But it wasn't over. Blue and red lights suddenly flashed behind both cars. Sirens wailed, slicing through the chaos. Relief surged through me so fast it nearly made me dizzy. Marissa's eyes widened, tears streaking her cheeks. "They're here," she whispered, half in disbelief. "The police." But Dwight didn't stop. He sped up, cutting in front of me, forcing me onto the shoulder. Gravel spat up under the wheels. I fought the steering wheel, heart in my throat. The sirens grew louder, closer. An officer's voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "Pull over now!" And for the first time, I saw it, fear flickering in Dwight's eyes. He slammed the brakes, tires screeching, as the squad car swerved in and boxed him in. My own car skidded to a halt a few yards ahead. I exhaled, shaking so hard my vision blurred. But then Marissa's hand gripped mine tight. Her whisper chilled me. "They won't stop here. Mom will find another way." The flashing lights painted everything in harsh blue and red. I sat frozen, hands trembling on the steering wheel, while Marissa clutched her son like he might vanish if she loosened her grip. An officer approached my window, hand resting on his holster. "Ma'am, step out slowly." I obeyed, legs unsteady on the gravel shoulder. The night air was sharp, cold, biting at my skin. Another officer pulled Dwight from his car, cuffing him as he cursed, spitting venom into the night. "You don't know what you're doing?" he shouted. "This is family business." Family business. The words made my stomach churn. How many times had Mom used that excuse to cover his messes? How many times had silence been forced on Marissa in the name of loyalty? The officer frowned. "Sir, you just endangered lives. That's not family business. That's reckless endangerment." Marissa finally slid out of the car, her knees weak, her son clinging to her shoulder. She looked at me, eyes swollen, then whispered to the officer nearest her, "He's been hurting us. Please, help." That was it. The dam broke. The officers led us to the back of their squad car, asking questions, writing notes. Marissa's voice cracked as she recounted bruises, threats, the endless cycle of control. I handed over my phone, the photos I'd taken at the motel, time-stamped, undeniable evidence. The officer nodded grimly. "This isn't just domestic trouble. This is assault. And with the child involved, CPS will move fast." For the first time, I saw a flicker of hope on Marissa's face. Her tears weren't to just from fear now. They carried the weight of years of silence finally breaking. But then headlights appeared on the far side of the road. A car pulled up fast. My chest tightened the moment I saw her. Mom. She stepped out, her heels clicking against the pavement like gunshots. Her face was pale, her eyes blazing. "What's going on here?" she snapped, voice carrying over the sirens. "You can't take my son-in-law. He's misunderstood. This will ruin us." The officers moved to block her, but her words sliced into me. Misunderstood? He had bruised Marissa. He had laid hands on a child. And she still chose him. The night hung heavy, the sirens echoing off the empty highway. And in that moment, I realized the police could stop Dwight. But Mom was about to become the most dangerous enemy of all. The morning after Dwight's arrest, the phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, I thought it might be relief, friends or neighbors checking in. But the messages told a darker story. "Heard what you did to your family. Shameful. You dragged your own sister's husband into jail. Heartless. Fix this before the whole church hears. One text after another. One voicemail after another. Each dripping with the same accusation. I had betrayed my family. Marissa sat on the motel bed, holding her son while he played with a plastic truck. Her face was pale but steadier than before. She didn't need to ask where the messages came from. She already knew. It was Mom. She'd wasted no time. While Dwight sat in a holding cell, she spun a story so fast it made my head spin. To the neighbors, to the church, to anyone who would listen, she painted me as the selfish daughter who'd dragged her poor sister as husband into legal hell. She said I was chasing attention, exaggerating bruises, stirring gossip for my own gain. Your mother's protecting her reputation, Tessa said when I put her on speaker. She's trying to isolate you. Classic tactic. But truth leaves a trail, Kenya. And we have proof. Still, it stung. Seeing my name dragged through the mud, hearing friends I grew up with whisper doubts, it cut deeper than I wanted to admit. For years, all I had wanted was a place at that table. Now my mother was making sure there was none left for me at all. Marissa reached across, her hand trembling as she touched mine. She's doing this because she's scared. Scared they'll see what Dwight really is. Scared the church will turn on her. Her words steadied me. She was right. Mom wasn't just defending Dwight. She was defending herself, the image she had spent decades polishing. The perfect family, the good Christian mother, the matriarch who held it all together. And if keeping that image meant sacrificing me, she'd do it without hesitation. But she had made one mistake. Because this time I wasn't alone. I had Marissa's testimony. I had Tessa's sharp mind. I had evidence stamped with dates and times. And if Mom wanted to drag me into the court of public opinion, I was ready to drag her into an actual courtroom. The war had officially shifted, and the next battle was about to begin. By the end of the week, the courthouse steps became our battlefield. Mom hadn't wasted a second. With Dad silent at her side and Dwight's parents whispering venom behind her, she filed a petition through a slick local attorney named Mr. Carmichael. His suit was sharp, his smile sharper, the kind of man who thrived on intimidation. The claim? That I had coerced Marissa into lying, that the bruises were misinterpreted, that I was poisoning the family for personal gain. I sat in the hearing room, heart hammering against my ribs. The air smelled of old paper and disinfectant. Marissa sat beside me, clutching a folder stuffed with photos, doctor's notes, and her sworn statement. Her hands shook, but her chin stayed high. Mom sat across the aisle, lips pressed thin, eyes burning holes into mine. When the judge entered, she folded her hands like a saint, the very picture of a grieving mother whose children had betrayed her. Carmichael rose first, voice slick as oil. Your Honor, what we have here is a family dispute blown wildly out of proportion. My clients seek not to discredit their daughter, but to protect the truth. The supposed evidence, misunderstandings, emotional exaggerations. He gestured toward Marissa, dismissive. The alleged victim has been manipulated. I could feel Marissa's pulse racing beside me. For a moment, the weight of his words pressed down, threatening to smother everything we'd built. Then Tessa stood. Calm, precise. She laid each piece of evidence like cards on a table. Photos with timestamps, medical reports, voicemails from Mom, recorded and saved, where she admitted everything. This stays in the family. Don't stir dirt. The judge leaned forward, expression darkening as the recordings played. Mom's voice, sharp and shrill, filled the silent room. There was no mistaking the intent. She had known, and she had tried to bury it. When it ended, the silence was suffocating. The gavel struck once. The petition is dismissed. Protective order remains in place. Further attempts to harass the petitioner will be met with sanctions. Mom's face cracked for the first time. The mask slipped. Her knuckles whitened as she gripped her purse. Carmichael whispered something to her, but she didn't move. Her empire of control was crumbling, brick by brick. As we left the courtroom, Marissa exhaled, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. She can't touch us now, she whispered. I squeezed her hand. Not in here, but outside? I glanced back at Mom's burning stare. She's not finished. Not yet. The real war wasn't over. It was only about to spill beyond the courthouse walls. The whispers started the very next Sunday. At Willow Creek Baptist, where my mother had reigned for decades as the perfect pastor's wife, always smiling, always hosting, always in control, her own words became her undoing. Someone leaked the court audio. Nobody claimed it, but I didn't need to guess. One of the clerks, maybe, or someone disgusted by how she'd tried to bury abuse. Either way, the recording spread fast. By the time Mom walked into church, pearls tight around her neck, her voice was already echoing in every pew. "This stays in the family. Don't stir dirt." The congregation stared. Whispers buzzed louder than the organ. Some turned their backs. Others avoided her eyes entirely. The empire of perfection she'd built over casseroles and choir solos cracked like thin ice. That afternoon, my phone lit up with messages. Women from the church, women who Dee once looked at me with pity, now sent quiet apologies. "We should have believed you. If you ever need support, we're here." One message came from an elder's wife I barely knew. She covered for him. We all heard it. "She can't lead anymore." Mom's fury was volcanic. She showed up at my studio, fists pounding on the locked glass door. "You ruined me," she screamed, face flushed red. "Do you know what you've done to this family? To me?" I stood inside, watching through the glass as her words fogged the pain. For the first time in my life, I didn't flinch. I didn't open the door. I let her rage echo into silence until she realized no one was listening anymore. Meanwhile, Marissa's strength grew daily. She'd moved into a small duplex near me, walls painted pale yellow, sunlight spilling across her son's toy-strewn floor. The bruises faded, replaced by a new steel in her voice. She joined a support group. She started sketching again, children's illustrations with bright colors and gentle lines. For him, she said, watching her boy giggle at a cartoon fox she'd drawn. For the first time, I saw her not as my fragile sister, but as a survivor. Still, Mom's shadow lingered. She called distant relatives spinning lies. She tried to convince the community that I had manipulated Marissa for my own gain. But the damage was done. The whispers turned into silence, and silence turned into absence. Invitations dried up. The pedestal she'd built for herself crumbled. And yet I knew one thing. People like her don't fade quietly. She would strike again. The only question was how. The call came late on a Thursday night. Mom's voice trembled through the receiver, brittle but sharp. "Kenya, they're removing me from the church board, after everything I've given them, after everything I sacrificed." I sat in my studio, surrounded by sketches pinned to corkboards, the hum of the city outside my window. I let her words hang, tasting the desperation in them. For years, she had wielded that church like a weapon, bending others with shame. Now, the same community turned its back. "This isn't about what you gave," I said finally. "It's about what you hid, about what you protected." Her breath hitched, half sob, half rage. "You've ruined me. You'll regret this." But when she hung up, all I felt was relief. The chains she'd wrapped around me since childhood had snapped. 2 weeks later, I stood beside Marissa at family court. Dwight shuffled in, shackled and hollow-eyed, a shell of the man who once lorded fear over her. The judge's gavel struck, granting Marissa full custody, a restraining order and child support enforced by the state. The sound echoed like thunder, final and unstoppable. Marissa gripped my hand so tight it hurt, but I didn't let go. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not of fear, but of freedom. Her son, safe in the arms of a social worker for the hearing, ran to her afterward. His laughter filled the courthouse hallway, piercing the shadows of years of silence. Justice wasn't glamorous. It didn't come with applause or fireworks, but it was steady, undeniable. In the months that followed, my design agency flourished. Survivors sought me out, women who saw themselves in my story. Each logo, each campaign carried a quiet defiance, proof that broken chains could be reforged into strength. Mom faded into whispers. Still in Willow Creek, but smaller, lonelier. The pedestal gone, the audience scattered. She never called again. Dad sent one last letter, a shaky scrawl. "I should have spoken sooner. I'm sorry." I tucked it away, a reminder of silence's cost. Marissa thrived. Her children's illustrations landed in a publishing deal. Her son grinned from a safe, sunlit home. The bruises were gone, replaced by joy. And me? I learned the hardest truth of all. Family isn't defined by blood, but by love, respect, and the courage to break cycles. Because sometimes the most radical act of love is refusing to stay silent. If you were in my shoes, would you have walked away sooner or fought the same way I did? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories like this.